Welcome to The Next Stage, the podcast where we turn up the house lights on the future of venue management. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started, this is your go-to source for the latest trends, innovations, and best practices in the venue and event management industry.
The amount of information and the amount of change and the amount of opportunity has never been greater.
We've literally broken down walls and we're looking at how can we create a more seamless experience.
There's customer demand for sustainability now.
On the forefront when it comes to venues that might not look like what you think of as a venue today.
Welcome back to The Next Stage, the official podcast of the Venue Management Association. I'm your host, Joel Edmondson, CEO of the VMA, and today we bring you an exciting conversation between Steve Mackenzie, Chief Innovation Officer at Momentous Technologies, and Jim Delaney, CEO of Activate Sports and Entertainment. A true industry veteran who's seen it all, from managing marketing and PR for Boston's TD Garden to his current role helping venues maximise revenue through digital and social channels. In this episode, Steve and Jim dive into the evolving landscape of venue experiences, discussing how innovations in technology, from AI to immersive experiences, are reshaping fan engagement. Jim offers his global perspective on how venues around the world are pioneering new approaches to meet the modern fans' expectations. They tackle the challenges of integrating complex technologies across multiple platforms to create seamless experiences, the influence of international competition on venue standards, and the exciting potential for immersive experiences to bring fans closer to live events than ever before. It's a must listen for anyone eager to understand the rapid transformation happening in sports and entertainment venues. Join Steve and Jim as they explore what's next in our ever-changing industry.
All right, well, welcome everybody to the latest in the Momentous Innovators series of videos. Today, we are very lucky to have with us none other than Jim Delaney, the CEO at Activate Sports and Entertainment. Jim and I have known each other for a little while now, and Jim's doing some pretty innovative things in the sports and entertainment area, so I thought this would be a great topic for us to chat about. But before I get into that, Jim, do you want to just give us a bit of a background on yourself and what Activate Sports and Entertainment does?
Boy, where do I start? Thanks for having me. My background is all in team and arena life in the U.S. Worked for a couple different pro NBA clubs and for the New England Patriots for a spell up in Boston. And I was at the TD Garden, the new garden, as we call it in Boston, for the first 10 years of that building's existence. So when it was Fleet Center and then we became TD Garden, and oversaw the marketing and PR for all the different events, everything from Bruins and Celtics to concerts and family shows. And about 15 years ago, when my kids were really little, I was realizing it's hard to do arena life and have a life outside of it. And I thought, you know what, I've done what I can do and helped kind of build the Garden brand and wanted to stay in Boston. So I just started my own company, Activate Sports and Entertainment, and worked with a bunch of different events early on, the Boston Marathon, working with Red Bull on a bunch of their large scale events, some festivals. And then social and digital media hit around that same time, and I'm looking at it now outside the bubble of an individual club or venue and saying, God, we should be able to monetize these channels better. And so started consulting with a bunch of my different friends at teams and venues again and getting kind of sucked back into that, and really helping venues monetize social channels. And then the last several years, I think COVID obviously has accelerated this as well, of this new era of what venue experiences look like, what the venues themselves look like, what those experiences are like, and certainly from a premium and partnerships perspective, we've spent a lot of time working with different clubs and venues on that. I've always worked a long time with the Event and Venue Marketing Conference, and now more so with ALSD, which is the premium seating, global network. So that's sort of in a nutshell my background and love. Like you, Steve, I just love having that connective tissue being able to look at the bigger picture and see what certain venues are doing and how can we apply that other places, what other technologies, what other industries are doing, and how we can learn from those, and connect the dots better. And definitely from an innovation standpoint, that Wayne Gretzky quote of, skate where the puck is headed, not where it's been. I think that's always been my mantra of like, oh, what's next? What's the next thing coming? Who's doing something really well? So great to connect with like-minded people in that regard.
Fantastic. Yeah. And that's actually a great segue to my next question. So, as you're involved with a lot of these stadiums and arenas and sporting clubs and so on, what are you seeing as the big trends that are within these areas from a technology viewpoint right now?
I think it wasn't that long ago, you're right, in the 10 and 15, 20 years ago, where everything was very siloed. You ticketing people do your ticketing thing, us marketing people are going to do our thing, ops is doing it. And yes, you would deal with the other departments, but I think it's much more of an integrated process now. I think it's great. We've literally broken down walls, and we're looking at how can we create a more seamless experience. And that's within departments in one company. I think we're also seeing that the walls breaking down between different companies where you have the architects and the F&B companies and the interior decorating companies and the marketing people and the sales, all really collaborating on how do we create a more seamless experience. And I think you have all of those different technologies that have bubbled up, and multiple companies. I think a fan would have no idea that they just walked through 17 different companies just on the entrance experience. That was a ticketing company. That was Evolve Security scanning me. Oh, that's a biometric facial recognition company that I'm now using. My face is my ticket now. Now I have Amazon grab and go, or I paid with my palm over here. And then there's might be a different company doing security, a different company doing ushers. Somebody owns the venue, but that's a different team, a different organization that's playing on the court or the ice. So
Yep.
I think that's what we're seeing the most. And I think the challenge is how do you connect all of those different companies, all of those different technologies that keep popping up every day to create a better and better experience every day, every month.
Yeah, it's a great point. You're right. The fan has no idea of just how many moving parts there are, but that's good too. That from the perspective, as you say, if we can get it seamless, where they don't, have a different experience, that's the holy grail for sure. So, I mean, you spend a lot of time around different parts of the world now with what you're doing, and would you say that there's areas of the world that are leading the charge with this type of innovation, that are doing these things better than others, or is it pretty much spread?
No, I think it's global now, right? It used to be certain countries. I think the US was always ahead of the game for many, many years and improving. And I used to laugh and say, like, how much for decades and decades, how much really changed from the old Roman Colosseum? I mean, the buildings look the exact same. It was like you sell the ticket, you get the people in there, you feed them some whatever. You watch the gladiators killing each other, or watch the UFC fighters, or whatever it is now. But the experience, improved. But how drastically did it really improve, or evolve? And I think the last 20 years, it's just the technology alone has radically changed those experiences. Social and digital media, now AI technologies. I mean, it's all just moving at such a rapid speed. And I think the US, yes, created those newer experience, right? The Cowboys Stadium, and you have companies like Cisco creating Stadium Vision. And okay, well, now that changes to now SoFi Stadium is unbelievable. And the venues themselves. But now go across the pond and look at what the UK buildings are doing. Go look at Tottenham and the Hotspur. I had a call with them this morning. I didn't realize they have F1 racing tracks underneath Tottenham Stadium. I had no idea that even existed. But they're doing F1 experiences underneath the stadium. And their premium spaces are some of the best premium spaces in the world. And so I think everybody is leapfrogging each other. When one Premier League team club is investing in that type of regard and generating those revenues that are going back into the club, and well, now I'm, Everton has to do that, and Man City, Man U has to keep up with Man City now, and so it's. I think you see the globalization certainly since COVID, more money coming into those clubs, more U.S. ownership coming into those clubs, and now I would say a lot of the Premier League teams are doing it, even a lot better than U.S. venues are certainly there. So now the U.S. has to keep up, and that's before we look at like what's going on in Dubai and the amount of money that's being poured into creating these venue experiences of the future. Or you look at what is being done with robotics in Asia and how people aren't pouring beers anymore. That's gone. How are you using all of these new technologies? And I think those are bubbling up in different parts of the world. So it's incredible. And I think that's the exciting part about our industry now is we really get an opportunity to, I used to say it when I was at the Garden, you're in your one bubble. And if you pick your head up out of your Boston bubble, you maybe look at what other NBA teams are doing, or you go to the, NHL marketing meetings and you see what those teams are doing, or you hardly even look at other leagues within your own country, much less what's happening in Australia. I don't know, but and now I think we are better connected. We're having opportunities to do things like this, have conversations, have webinars, pull people from other parts of the world that we would never have access to. And I think that's accelerating the growth. And I mean, certainly technology's playing that role.
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's interesting you talk about like what Tottenham Hotspur is doing. And I was at a conference recently and one of the keynotes there was from the new Real Madrid stadium. And they were explaining what they've done there and just the innovation that they've got going on. I mean, it is, you're right, it's global. And US is no longer the leader and, outright leader. I think we still lead in some many ways, but it's great to see the world embracing this and we can learn from each other. So pretty exciting when we talk about the future, that's for sure. But along with that comes some challenges, So what do you see as some of the biggest challenges that some of the venue operators are facing at the moment?
I think it's still complexity. Complexity and cost are kind of two of the seeds that you see that. And there's legacy systems that you have. Well, this is the way we've always done it. This is the way we're set up to do this. Even if it's a new technology, a new something, unless you're doing a new build, right? You're building a whole new Real Madrid. But we're doing this huge, FC Barcelona thing. Great. Well, that's going to be the biggest and best and newest, and because you're starting from scratch. But a lot of these, you're renovating a 25-year-old, 30-year-old venue. It's complex. There's a lot of cost involved. There's a lot of effort involved. But I would say beyond the legacy systems, there's a legacy thinking mentality that you have to overcome as well. It's not just the physical aspect of it. There's a mental aspect and a teamwork aspect of how are we going to break out of our legacy thinking about things a certain way. And well, we've always done it this way. Just because that has happened for 45 years doesn't mean that that's the experience of the next 5 years. I think that's the biggest challenge. The widgets, the tools, the technology, they're there. It's just adapting those into the new way of thinking. Yep. That's the hard part. And change is hard, right? It's not easy to implement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We all say that, yeah, we embrace change, we like change, but the bottom line is human nature. We don't like change. And and sometimes, I think our industry's had a lot of the if it's not broke, don't fix it type mentality. When we have to be mindful of the fact that we are ripe for disruption. There's a lot of options vying for our experiential dollar these days, right? With the next generation of attendees coming through, and they might not think the same way that you and I do about going to an event, being at a venue. They can experience it. Maybe in a more technologically advanced way. So we have to think how we can embrace that, right? So yeah, I think you're right. Change of mindset is probably one of the biggest challenges. So with that in mind, and just to finish up here, um, with your outlook and everything that you do, what are your predictions for where the industry is heading in the next few years? I mean anywhere. It could be building design, technology, the fan experience. What are you thinking is going to be the direction for us?
I think we better buckle up because the ride is going to get very fast very soon. And if we think we're moving fast the last 3, 4, 5 years since COVID, it, the acceleration I think is what's going to be amazing for the next 5 years. It is AI technology alone is we're at the as I heard somebody at South by Southwest, a kind of a futurist person. She was talking about it as like we're at the dial-up phase of AI,
Right. Yeah.
and it is just from the limited stuff that we've been working on in the last 2 years, 3 years of just seeing this wave coming. Um, we've seen this movie before, right? It was personal computers, the
Hmm.
wave of personal computing in the 80s, and then we saw the wave of the internet. I mean, can you imagine? My kids they can't even understand a world pre-internet. And then this little phone that's in, a personal computer in your hand that's better than. So that wave, then social media and how that has disrupted all of marketing and communications, and AI is going to be what, 10 times bigger than all of that probably combined. I mean, and we're just starting. That's, I think, what is going to be incredible. I don't think that sports and entertainment and venue experiences go away, right? That's just been core since the Roman Colosseum of who we are as humanity, and we are going to have that. But I know we talked about it previously. I had a chance to go see Cosm last month, their very first venue that opened up a month ago in LA, right down the street from SoFi Stadium. An absolutely revolutionary venue experience. You can't even describe it until you go and see it. They'll open up Dallas in a month. They've announced Atlanta will be next. It is Sphere-like, but the Sphere, we can't put, they're not going to have 5 spheres. Where are you going to put that thing? But Cosm, there will be 100, 200 Cosms in markets all over the world. And it is as good of a little venue experience with just the broadcast as you've ever seen. So it's better than your at-home viewing, but in many ways, it's almost as good as being in that stadium. I'd almost rather be in a Cosm watching it than not. So I think we're going to have this confluence of immersive experiences. I grew up in Seattle, Washington. I'm a huge Seattle Seahawks fan still. I haven't lived there in 30 years, and I won't go to a game there. But watching it on my TV or on my phone on the road is not the experience that I should have or that I will have moving forward. Whether that's Oculus and immersive sitting in the airport watching it, I will feel more there. So I think it's those immersive experiences, those improved venues, those next generation venues. But what you guys are doing, other technology, it will just rapidly increase in scale and scope.
Yeah, look, I can tell your passion behind all that, and it's infective. Um, it's quite amazing to, as you know so succinctly put it. Like, you know, your kids can't understand it well with that internet. We're talking about AI and being at that start of it. Who knows what's even next after that? We don't know what we don't know, right? So it's kind of mind-boggling and scary, the pace of it all at the same time. But man, what a great time to be alive and to experience
It
this.
really is. Or those of us who have grown up as kids loving, for me, sports, and for
Yeah.
others, concerts and music, and then getting a chance to work in those fields, in those areas. Like, how lucky are we? But also, how lucky are we to be in this space at this time when these experiences, we're in charge of creating these experiences and coming together in multiple ways. Whether you're an F&B, an architect, a booking agent, it's all one. We're all part of one thing that's creating these. But it is feeling more that we are not focused. We're not going to focus just on the 18,000 people in the arena or the 80,000 in the stadium anymore. It is so far beyond that. Because those experiences can be delivered worldwide. I mean, right now the technology is Taylor Swift goes and does her tour, and it's all about those people in that stadium. There's way more Taylor Swift fans out there than can go to that show. And so then she broadcasts her tour, and Beyonce does the same into a movie theater.
Right.
Okay. No. What if you were live in the stadium in your living room with your friends came over and you're having a Taylor Swift party, but it is though you are there? I don't know if it's getting to your living room yet in that way. It is definitely at Cosm already. Tomorrow you can go, and that would be it's going to be global experiences that aren't part of one venue, is what I think, where I think it's going. It's not going to be, Taylor Swift almost doesn't have to tour. It's if you can get that same
Right.
experience, but I can, like, I'm going to the movies,
That's
and
so
I think it's
cool.
going to force other things like traditional movie theaters. I mean, you've seen how hard they've been hit since COVID. I mean, traditional movie theaters are they're having a hard time coming back. But I think our space of global sports and entertainment is just going to be in a different space in 5 and 10 years.
Yeah, look, it's so cool. Based on that, I can't wait to go and experience Cosm. It just sounds like, being able to effectively be in a venue, but you feel like you're at the live event. I can't wait to see that. So, Jim, we could talk for hours on this. It's so exciting. It's so great. But look, thank you so much for joining us for the Innovators series. Your insights are phenomenal, and I look forward to catching up again soon. And so, thanks again for joining us.
Likewise. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us again on The Next Stage. We hope you enjoyed today's deep dive into the future of venue experiences with Steve Mackenzie and Jim Delaney. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another compelling discussion, this time featuring Russ Simons, Chief Listening Officer at Venue Solutions Group. Russ brings a wealth of knowledge from his 40-year career in public assembly facility management, and will share insights into essential topics like guest experience benchmarking, risk management, and the impact of leadership on venue operations. You won't want to miss it. See you there.